Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. Um, Again, filming in real time. I promise I will do some that aren't using this book. I promise I will after this one. So this is the new Collage Soup book that I've just brought out with Emily. And I just want to I'm trying to think of different ways to use these images. So I've grabbed some images from that book, the Quotalicious book, and just a piece of generic transparency. And I'm going to see if I can just enhance the colours on this background. I've got some Jane Davenport tattoo inks. These are an acrylic ink, so this would work with any acrylic ink. And what I'm going to do is just bring them and paint them over the top of the colours that are already there, just to bring a bit more richness. Now, in the book, they are more vibrant than this image that I'm using here because my printer was being naughty the other day. So I kind of thought, okay, I don't want to waste that image that I've printed out. How can I make this work? And I just wondered if there was any way to kind of lay transparency over the top and just kind of work with the image and add more colour to it. So and I thought about trying some ink. So I'm just going to see how this works. And I mean, I can go in and add details over the top if I want to after it's dry. But it's just going to bring a bit more vibrancy to some of these images. And then I can give it a spritz of clear gloss if I want to. Once I've gone in and done this. And of course, you know, if it goes somewhere you don't want it, you can wipe it off. Yeah, just wondering if I can bring a bit of zing to some of these. Now this lady's going to stick over the top, so I'm going to kind of concentrate on this side a little bit, I think, with some of these colours. These, oh, I love these bottles, and Lee, my middle child, has already got their eye on these. When these are empty, they're like, Mom, can I have those when you've done with them? I guess. So I'm just laying that colour on, and then I'm just going to leave it to dry. And you can see it is just bringing a bit more colour. You could do this with paint pens, of course. You could even do it with acrylic paint if you watered it down a little bit. But I just thought it might be fun to try with something a bit different. Now, let's put a little blob of that yellow there because I want to make a green. Put a little blob of blue there, and then my paint water's really grubby, so I need to be. Oh, that's a nice green. I like that. Ooh. Okay, let's bring some of that in here. Oh, that purple's going to run in there. Oh, that's annoying. No, I don't want that to happen. Let's just blot that out. I like purple, but no thank you. Not in this context. I don't want that bleeding through. Looks like some's gone into that yellow there as well. Never mind, let's leave it. A little bit of green up there. That made a lovely green. And then let's go with a little bit of blue. I'm probably not going to add this over everything, just in a few places, just to see if I can just zing up those colours a little bit. Remembering that figure's going to go there. I actually don't like that. I don't like what that's done. Let's just blot a little bit of it out. That's better. Just bring a bit into the sky. So this is just a generic transparency that I found on Amazon. It's not a fancy one. It's not really meant for mixed media. But if you're wanting one that is designed for wet media, then graphics is the way to go, or Dina's transparencies, Dina Wakely's. The ones that are graphics are, you need the wet media Duralar. That is perfect for this kind of technique. But yeah, I just think, you know, for me, when I'm just playing and seeing if things work, you can kind of find that out using something that doesn't cost too much money. So, I mean, so like I say, those are acrylic inks. They're from Jane Davenport. They are permanent when they're dry, but any acrylic ink would work just the same. I'm just going to show you that now off there. I mean, it doesn't look much, does it? But when we lay it over the top of here, it just brings a bit more vibrancy to those colours. I'm going to give it a quick dry. And what I might do is just set that aside. It's somewhere where I can't stick my hand in it. I'm going to bring that back in a sec. I'm going to come in here and add some more colours to some of this. So, and I think I'm going to use paint pens. Let me move that out of the way because I know I will stick my hand in it. So I'm going to go in with a bit more colour on top of some of these pieces. And then I might even go in with some marks and outline some of the windows. Maybe. I don't even think that's going to be visible, that bit. We can soon find out, can't we? Right, why don't we put that there and then we can see where is worth working on and where isn't. So one thing that I often don't think about doing is using a whole page as a background. I often cut pieces out and kind of make them work for me by building like a narrative or a story with the images. But in this new book that I've just released with Emily, the images lend themselves really well to just kind of coming out of the book whole and using them as your starting point. So that's why I'm trying to show you different ways that you can use these. Of course, you can still cut them up. So I have done a previous page with this image where I cut the buildings out and layered them on. But you don't have to do that, because it doesn't always need to be complicated. Sometimes it is just about having a bit of play. Right, let's put the back and see how we're doing. Bit of yellow maybe might be quite nice. So like I say, this image is a little bit pale because my printer was misbehaving. I need to get an engineer to come and have a look at it, but I haven't got around to doing that yet, so but I will. I'm just going to colour in some of the ideas of windows. One of the things I love about these images is that they are, some of them are like got little quite abstract parts on them. They lend themselves really nicely to just playing with no worry about, is this perfect? Is this how it's meant to be? You can put your own kind of take on it and make it yours. Okay, so I'm also going to pop some more buildings down here, so I needn't have done those down there, but that's okay. Let's see now if I bring that transparency back in, which has dried a little bit more. Yeah, I quite like that. I think what I might do is just blot some of these darker areas off where the ink has puddled a little bit. Let's lift a little bit out so it's not as puddly. Technical term, of course. It's drying quite quickly, that actually. Okay. Right. So I now may well go in with, I'm going to go with a Tombow marker again to start off with and just outline one side of the buildings before I go in with a pen and pull some of them out. So I'm really just thinking about some shadows here. And I'm just going to make them come out like this so that anywhere where the figure is, I don't need to worry about those, see? So I just need to bring that down a little bit further. Okay, and maybe some poking out here. Let's go along the tops a little bit. So we've got the idea of the tops of some of the buildings as well. But like I say, just an idea. Okay, hang on, what can we do here? No, because those are going to go there, aren't they? Right, I don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now I might just swap to a smaller gel pen. I've got to be honest, at this point, you know, I am kind of like thinking, okay, how do I make this work? I don't always know what I'm going to do till I start. This is a Pilot G Tech C4 really fine nib pen. I think I'm just going to dry the Tombow marker. So I want these outlines to be there but not be too obvious. I think if I'd gone in with a Posca pen they would have been too obvious. I'm starting off with one that's less obvious just because then that means if I need it to be darker, I can easily go in and add more definite lines. But if I start off with definite lines, it's harder to come back from that. So I would say, like, if you're not sure when you want to add some outlines to your work, start off with a slightly lighter, a smaller nib on your pen, and then that way it's much easier to go in and add more. But if you go in super dark, and I speak from experience here, it's harder to come back from that. Although there are things that you can do, but you know, it's harder to. And then I can come around some of these windows and pull some of them out. In fact, I think I might try a slightly thicker pen. There we go. Maybe that one's better. I'm keeping my lines loose and sketchy because that's the feel of this page. And now, if you're wanting to have a go at loose, sketchy lines, I suggest just hold your pen higher up, hold it really loosely, and that way you can go in with much looser lines. And you'll find that it'll look more arty because you've got that kind of loose feel. Okay, so this is kind of coming together. I'm liking how this is working. I'm going to swap back to this one for, oh hang on, let me just make that make sense a little bit. I was going to come down here because there are going to be buildings down there, but I just want to bring some more marks to some of these buildings now. So all I've done so far on this one is just come in with some paint pens on here, bit of outlining, and then I'm going to start layering up my images onto my page. So that's going to be stuck directly onto there, and I think I'm going to just do that with gel medium because that's nice and easy. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to hit my microphone. Honestly, if I'm not tossing things onto the floor, banging my head on stuff or whacking my microphone with my paintbrush, so I give you the impression that I'm a little bit accident prone. Because I can be some days. I am a walking disaster. Right, let's stick that down on there. Now, because I've gone in with a gel pen, it's not permanent, I don't want to overbrush on that because I don't really want to move the ink that I've put down. So you notice that I'm brushing quite quickly. I'm now going to go in with my image that's going to lay over the top, like that. And get her stuck down also. She comes quite high up there, doesn't she? Let's just get that stuck in as fast as we can. Right. Okay. Actually, no. No, Claire. Quick tweezers. she needs to come off, because what needs to go on next is the transparency. Silly me. That needs to go next. Yep, that's okay. Then we can stick her down. She might have enough glue on her now just to stick on top. Yep. And pop these here too. Okay. These are just some hearts that I've cut out from the page as well. Oh, I kind of think that works quite nicely there. Maybe that one there. Got a bit of yellow on her face there, but you know, we'll just have to embrace that. That's okay. I'll just pop that quote down there. Probably got yellow on my brush, so I'm not going to brush over the top. I'm going to give this a quick dry, and then I'm going to start layering more marks over the top again. So I've kind of sandwiched my transparency in there. Now, one thing we could do is to give this a coat of clear gloss. To bear in mind that the transparency isn't going to dry as well as it would do if it was just paper. So the heat is going to struggle to escape out the back, as is the moisture. So I'll have to get it nearly dry and then leave it to dry the rest of the way. I just want a little bit more glue on there. Okay. And exactly the same as you would with your normal gloss sprays, you need to dip the end in some water so that you're putting a bit of moisture in the end, in the lid, in the cap. Not my way of doing it. It's Megan Quinlan came up with that idea, as Dina calls it, the Megan method. It does work, and if you religiously wash them and put some water droplets into the lid before you put the lid on, it does save the day. It really does. Okay, so that layer of clear gloss is just going to help fix those inks in place that are on the top of the transparency. So really this is just like, I'm just having a play. You're just coming along for the ride, for a bit of a play in my art journal with the Collage Soup images, and just seeing if I can find ways to use them that just make the way that you think about them change a little bit. Like, they are a great jumping off point. They don't have to be the finished article. You can change them, chop them up. I mean, there are so many things. You can add tip-ins, you can use them as tip-ins, you could use them on ATCs. There are so many things that you can do with them. and it's just about having the confidence to just have a think outside the box. Okay, so the places where my pen isn't wanting to work, the page is probably a little bit damp, but that's okay. She looks feisty. Give her a little rosy cheek. Let's go with that one because it's a little bit darker. Yeah, perfect. And then some stamping. Then what I might do here is just bring some stamping onto the edge of these buildings. We've kind of layered up lots of interest on those and just had a play with bringing more colour, layering a transparency, sandwiching a transparency into the middle of the journal page. I just want to write some more text on here. I'm going to write it up here, I think. I'm just doing my own thing. Oh, that's interesting. The archive link is acting as a resist. That's interesting. I'm just doing my own thing. Yes, there we go. There's another art journal page for you. So this one's a little bit different, sandwiching a transparency between the images, adding a bit more colour to it just to saturate those colours a bit more. But just some more ideas of ways that you can use the new Quotalicious book from Collage Soup. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found some inspiration from this journal page, watching it come together. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see when more videos come live. If you're wanting more content from me, you can hop over to my website and become an art journal lover, where you can have access to tons of content that has happened since Art Journal Lovers started 2 years ago, and more weekly lives. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.